Welcome to the Making of YOR, a podcast where we turn ideas into game mechanics for our upcoming tabletop RPG, YOR. If you'd like to stay up to date on the developments of YOR, head over to our Discord. Link is in the description. And we're back.
Howdy, everybody.
So,
What are we talking about today?
more path stuff.
Oh, shit.
So we did a little discussion on what we think Artificer should finally be. I mean, we might get to that today.
Yeah, magical programming.
Yeah, magical programming. Because we were thinking maybe some kind of item creation or something like that. But really what it's going to come down to is we want him to be the spellcaster that doesn't know spells.
Yeah.
Like non-magical spellcaster.
Yeah, I can't cast a fireball, but I can get the ingredients and carve the stuff into a wand that lets the wand cast fireball, and then I can use that wand. Or I can hand it to my fighter buddy, or my wizard buddy, or whoever wants to cast a fireball.
Yes. And so it will basically be, it's probably, in a lot of ways you might think this sounds like a profession. And yeah, I think there's a lot of professions, and they're going to be in their own category that work that are crafts. But this is a very, very specialized magical craft.
Yes, you are not the guy who makes the wand stick. You are the guy who carves the runes on the wand stick to turn it into an actual wand.
Yeah. This is such a specialized, like, let's call it magical profession, that I think we can give it enough stuff that it will be a good playable class. And it's a cool way to separate the creation of things like wands away from the practicing of magic and the creation of scrolls. So scrolls will be, either magical, let's call them like information logs.
Yes, it's a one use.
And you could use it or it stores information. And so this is like a lot of different people who have aptitude in spell casting type stuff could do this. But the process of making a permanent magical wand
is something that artificers know how to do.
Yeah, this is a specialized class, and going to wizard school doesn't teach you how to do this.
You a minor in artifice.
Yeah, this is it's its own
school of magic-ish adjacent things.
Yeah.
It's like knowing how to cast a spell doesn't teach you how to brew a potion. It's the same magnitude of difference.
Yeah. Yeah, like the difference between going to maybe Harvard and MIT.
Yeah, they're both good schools. They tend to teach you different things.
Yeah, they specialize in teaching different things. And,
yes.
Artificers are magical engineering. So I don't know. We might end up working on that a little bit in this session, but I think we'll still have quite a bit of work to do that will be better done off mic.
Yeah, it's some turkey time.
Yeah, because it will still be a somewhat complicated class with...
Yeah, we got to figure out how like magic weapons and stuff work too.
Yeah, because we'll want it to be a list of all the spells.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah, that aren't like class specific anyway.
Yeah, that aren't like probably most wizard type spells, just probably not sorcerer spells or things that are like really niche.
Yeah.
Like archetype spells.
Like there may not be a raised dead wand.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there'll be probably end up some rituals around that. There may not be a raised dead wand.
Well, until like because the necromancer gets it early.
Well, the necromancer gets a temporary undead.
Ah, okay.
He can at early. What he gets is he's something that can raise an undead mid combat.
Yeah.
You just raise a person who just fell. They fight for you until the end of combat, and then they die.
Yeah, that's right.
But the genuine like
actual raised dead spell that you get
like make a zombie type of thing is going to
probably be a spell eventually.
Yeah, and it'll probably be a spell that spellcasters could learn of some kind. It may not be limited to the necromancer. He'll probably just get
a better version of that.
Yeah, he'll either get a better version or like some games do his like maybe he'll be able to raise dead because we're going to probably have the raising of permanent undead is going to have a very strict material cost.
Yeah.
And he might have like twice efficiency or something.
Oh, yeah. He gets 2 undead for every unit of ingredient he spends.
Yeah. Like so it's much easier for him to raise multiple undead with.
Yeah. If you want an army, you got to be a necromancer. If you want like a butler who stinks, you can just be a regular wizard.
Yeah. But if you're planning, it's going to cost, twice as much or something like that to raise that army if you're not a necromancer.
Magical programming artificers. Also, we changed the experts quick action.
That's the big thing that happened.
Yeah, we finally figured out what made experts cool. So we took away their weapon proficiency and let them do anything. We basically just gave them 2 actions. Anything they can do is an action. They can also do as a quick action.
Yeah.
So they can be a worse fighter. If they have a cantrip, they can be a worse magus. They can't get the mystics helping hand thing, but unless they're like a really specific kind of warlock, I guess.
Yeah. They make a very specific kind of pact.
Yeah.
But the thing they will be is potentially the best grappler.
Yep.
Which is not bad because Immortal is one of the archetypes that, or one of the subclasses, whatever, one of the classes, one of the paths.
Cross
there we
paths.
Go. One of the paths you can go into, and it's a cross between mystic
and expert.
Yeah, and it's monk-ish. And in in a lot of like D&D, monks don't make like the best grapplers.
No. The monks don't make the best anything, really.
No, they don't. But I'll be honest, from a truthiness standpoint, monk should be the class that has the best grappler.
Yes.
And when you think of like competitive professional grapplers,
they're all like martial arts MMA guys.
Yeah.
And the guy who knows martial arts in this world is probably the Immortal.
Yeah. And, like that doesn't mean, and I get it, big guys like, oh, you don't want to grapple them. Well, sure. The best grapplers in the world also probably don't want to try and grapple Thor Bjornsson.
Yeah. I watched that Conor McGregor Hathor Bjornsson fight.
Yeah. Like you are a technically better grappler. I still don't think that was the guy you should have tried to grab.
Yeah, I mean, it was like watching an adult play with a child.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a mistake. And
unreal.
So also for you as the Immortal, who is the best grappler, you probably shouldn't try and grapple the Barbarian.
Yeah, weird.
But I think it still is more on brand to make them the better grappler and not like Barbarian or, whatever. Anyway.
Yeah, we thought it made experts feel like really, really versatile, like they have expertise in a bunch of different stuff.
Yeah,
they can make 2 skill checks, they make 2 attacks, they can make a cantrip attack, they can do whatever.
Yeah. Better access to
action economy.
Yeah, better access to action economy and a better access to skills as well. They just don't get
weapon proficiency or armor.
They don't really get it. Yeah, they don't get really any benefits in combat, save the 2 actions.
Yep.
And they don't get any unique proficiencies. They just get better skills at stuff.
Jack of all trades, master of none.
Yeah.
Except whatever they pick their savant stat to be.
Yeah. And so they can't be as good as magic. They can't be as good at fighting. They can't be
as good
supporting.
At buffing.
Yeah.
But they can still take 2 help actions. They can still...
They'll have a lot of fun. They'll be really fun to play.
Yeah, you aren't as good as anybody, but you can fill in for anybody.
Yeah. They'll be very fun to play, I think.
Yeah. Very excited to play one of those whenever I finally get to play this game.
Yeah. And furthermore, one of the other limiting factors is, of course, like what is available to you in furthering paths. So while there's like maybe a little bit of there'll be a big gap from the fighter standpoint.
Yes.
Even at level 1. Or tier 1, because having 2 attacks, well, the other guy's attack does more damage versus the fighter. The fighter does more damage. The fighter has more health. The fighter has more DR.
Yeah, he's just way tankier and harder hitting than you with no investment.
Yeah. But when you get to tier 2, you have options like Artificer and Sneak Thief, and they have options like Soldier and Barbarian. They're going to keep getting better at being a fighter.
Yeah. Or you could both be a ranger.
Yeah, or you could both be a ranger. And both will be very good as a ranger.
Yeah.
It's that the reality is the fighter going into a ranger is going to have armor proficiency and weapon proficiency.
Yep.
And you're going to have, you can both
better quick action.
Well, you'll have a way better quick action because you'll be able to use an attack as well. But he's coming in with weapon and armor proficiency.
Yeah. You're coming in with skill proficiencies and a more versatile quick action. And
in some ways, the expert will probably have the potential to be the best long-term build. Will be coming off of like an expert and like going into ranger or going into immortal, or even hitman off of the sneak thief.
They're going to have a bunch of different.
And I think in a lot of ways, min-maxed, the expert will probably have some of the best late game potential min-maxes, but he's never going to be the top spellcaster.
No.
Does not have access to a path.
It might be the top damage dealer, not going to be the top like fighter.
Because if you find boons and stuff that maybe give you like weapon proficiency, you can start to catch up with the fighter in some ways. But the reality is, even if that does catch up and you get some things late game that make you stronger, or that you get some of the things that you didn't have, the reality is you were weaker for a lot of the game in combat than that fighter was.
All your stuff was out of combat utility. Until fairly late in the game, late tier 2, tier 3 type stuff.
Okay. So, expert and artificer, that's stuff going on there.
I think that's the big things we came up with, right?
And so maybe we'll talk a little bit about scholar now, because we only got 2 paths left.
We got
artificer, but not counting artificer, we have scholar and immortal. And I don't have a damn clue what we're doing with scholar. We added a couple things.
Some stuff when we were talking about experts.
We got expert will gain. So if you came from expert into scholar, you'll get scroll casting. If you came from magus into scholar, you'll get finesse as an in-path skill. And that's really just because scholar definitely needs scroll casting. And expert not starting with that means he does need to get it.
Agreed.
We have it getting 1 tier 2 spell, which will probably be off the general list. And then we had a couple of things we threw in. A thing called Mind Palace, so they'd be better at making general knowledge checks. That's all kind of wonky now, and we haven't really done anything like that.
These are all probably need to be redone.
And then forcing re-rolls in this justice simulation thing. So I don't know about that either.
That feels like a higher tier ability.
The
only ones I really like are the scroll casting, finesse, empath, and then the +1 rune lore, and then +1 to any other path skill.
Okay.
What do magical nerds get?
So, like with artificer, I think we have a good solution because we're giving them a makeshift like spell book. And they're going to learn spells and they get to make items with those spells. We're assuming that scroll casting, that making scrolls is going to be available to everyone. Anyone that can make the rune lore check. That's what we've always said before.
It's I tentatively yes, although that may cause problems. We will see.
Well, it brings up the question of like...
I think probably anybody could copy a spell scroll with the...
Okay.
I think to make one without an example, you may need need the spell or be an artificer. But if you just wanted to copy one, if your rune lore was good enough, you could probably do that.
Okay. So what ability, like what fundamental ability, because scholars are obviously going to relate... They can't just relate to skill checks. They have to relate to like magic in some way because they're half wizard, half expert. So knowing that they need to relate to magic in some way and relate to skillfulness in some way.
What kind of abilities would that mechanically and because I don't want them to just be good. Like you would say, well, a scholar should be really good at skill checks. I mean, experts in general are good at.
That's sure, and that's fine to cover the kind of the expert side that they're going to be maybe particularly good at a type of skill check. And And so I'm fine with like what we have as Mind Palace getting reworked into something else.
Yeah.
And that implies they're good at some type of like knowledge-based skill check.
Uh-huh.
But on the magic side of stuff coming into this, they have one spell. It feels like they should relate to magic differently.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Because we have, what are the other half wizard classes? We have Witch.
Which gets a spell.
Which gets spells and they get some curses and really magic-y stuff.
Oh.
But they're coming from Mystic as well,
Yeah.
which is also a...
And then Spell Sword.
And then Spell Sword, who gets magical temp HP stuff and can spend points
To improve his weapon.
to improve his weapon with elemental damage. So
Yeah.
very magic-y stuff.
Yeah.
And can choose either a weapon, choose to gain weapon proficiency or choose to learn a cantrip.
So they're going to come in with either a quick action cantrip or a quick action anything.
Yes.
Don't want to hide anything behind a skill check. Kind of think of stuff we see Indy do.
And I don't really want to do the same thing we do with the Spell Sword where they get a cantrip.
Yeah.
Because even though they're coming from a mage, they're not necessarily should be, I guess, like damage dealers or like built for combat where the Spell Sword should be.
So utility and a magic. I don't know. Maybe we'll take a look at the different archetypes and see if we need to, what we need to rename them, or if we need to rename them. That'll maybe help us get like a guiding light on like where we want this class to go.
Okay.
Like we have field researcher, professor, and then librarian, and then meta mind, which we're not going to do yet. I kind of like two-fisted archaeologist being one.
Yeah. Oh, punchy
Yeah.
scholar.
Yeah, like Doc Savage or Indy or any of those other like pulp heroes.
Okay. Professor Fists.
Yeah. Well, two-fisted archaeologist is kind of the trope, or two-fisted adventurer. Professor Fister.
Pro Fister.
Profister Jones.
Oh, man.
Profister de Balzac.
Oh, man. I'm really on the fence about actually putting Pro Fister down. I mean, they can't make it. I can't make it to like final product.
Yeah, but like, man, we could put it down now. That's a design note right there.
That's definitely going on the list. And I understand if anyone ever listens to this thing, they're going to be like, well, why didn't Pro Fister make it to the end
Hey,
of the...
you knew this podcast was for adults.
Yeah. All right. So, Pro Fister.
Yep.
I'll put slash two-fisted.
Two-fisted archaeologist.
What I enjoy versus what we should probably use.
Yeah. That would be cool to give him that psychometry thing that we talked about. Did we ever give that to a witch?
No, we didn't. Problem is, that's like straight up utility. And I feel like that should probably be like some type of ritual spell. But, well, I guess because we could implying that his like archaeological knowledge plays into why he can do this.
Yeah.
He's
really put a lot of time into learning about old things.
So it allows him to like magically also be an archaeologist.
Yeah.
And so he's not necessarily literally talking to the room, but he can read the room.
Yeah. With his hands.
All right. Well, that ability is going to, I think, be just called read the room.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. That sort of implies that it's more of like a social thing than a suss out information thing. Although I do like it. I think read the room might be
read in quotation marks.
Yeah.
It's either that or it's if the walls could talk.
Yeah. Well, I call it psychometry because that's very specifically what psychometry means, is learning things from objects. But
okay,
like what
it's the name of the spell.
Yeah, well, that's just they named it after the word that means what it does. Sort of like prestidigitation. Got one of them $10 words that nobody uses.
Mm-hmm. All right. So then he has psychometry. So that's a ribbon ability.
Yeah.
That's like potentially strong, but also
not like super broken.
You may not use it that much either. I don't know. It's going to be up to your DM. That's one of those abilities that's kind of tough because it's the DM is going to decide how powerful this is.
Yeah, it's how much information can you get out of this.
Yeah. Which I am always a little hesitant as a core ability. Like if that's a spell that you can choose to get.
We'll have to come up with some way that like, all right, this is how this thing works.
Yeah.
It's sort of like the, like we talked about it earlier with like the hedge magic thing we're working on of like divination.
Yeah, no, I'm cool with that, but also that's something you choose to take, not something that's a part of the
so
path.
I mean, this is going to be like a little better, but like really what I imagine what this is like, they're stumped. The DM can give them a hint.
Yeah, but he's going to do that anyway. He'll just use this as an avenue for doing that.
Yeah, it's a really easy avenue for him to. Sometimes particularly strong objects call out to you. The plot hook generator.
So play this class if you don't want to. If you want to figure out the game automatically.
Yeah, I also think it might work for like detect traps or whatever. Like you sense a bunch of people died 5 feet in front of you.
Yeah, I like it. As a core feature, it will be a tough thing to find the balance between.
Yeah, but it's also a ribbon feature, so I don't feel as bad about it.
No, as a ribbon feature, I don't feel too bad about it. It's still just the nature of it makes it tough to balance.
Yeah,
between not useful and crazy and really really powerful.
Useful, yeah. But I think it's just so thematic to an archaeologist.
Yeah, it is thematic for sure. All right. What should be their more combat-y ability?
Yeah.
Whip proficiency?
I was thinking like some like rock'em sock'em kind of thing. The rope-a-dope.
So do we want, if we're planning on giving scholars in general, and maybe all the archetypes will get this, given the fact that the nature of archetypes of a scholar.
Maybe one of the things base scholars get is like particularly good punch proficiency.
Oh, well, I was thinking it as a scholars possibly in general getting some very effective defensive skills.
Yeah.
And maybe scholars in general don't find a lot of offensive power.
Yeah.
And basically these are like with some good defensive skills, they become like plot power.
Yeah.
And playing a scholar is that you're wanting to play, you're not really going the like combat heavy character. You're going more plot heavy.
What I'm
character.
imagining is, you've never read them, but the Discworld books and the wizards there are sort of just violent academics that don't do a whole lot of magic. Because there are places where a lot of magic has been done, and some places the grass still won't grow. But I like the idea that like all the scholars are pretty good at fist fighting. Like that's their like because they need some kind of offensive thing. And if they're all just good at trying to beat people up, they're not like super incredible at it, but they're all like pretty good in a bar fight.
Okay. So then
Catch these
from
hands.
basically they'll get their weirdly enough, they'll be like backwards of what you would expect.
Yeah.
So scholars, they get their combat half
From
the expert.
Yep.
And they get their utility half
from the wizard.
Yeah,
Or
from the
Magus.
Magus. And obviously Magus is a combat class and expert's
It is
less
the
of a
utility
combat
class.
is utility. But we get our skillfulness from the Magus
Yes.
side, and
Yeah.
we get our combat from the expert side.
I like that.
So if that is the concept we go with. Now, of course, if they came from being a Magus into this class, they're going to have 3 cantrips,
Mm-hmm.
and they're going to have quick action cantrip.
Yep.
So their combat is still pretty much just going to be blastums.
Yeah.
That's
Shoot them up.
they wouldn't have any reason to necessarily use their fists as a scholar if they came from Mystic and can just cantrip every turn. That would be my only hesitancy of
Well, we're going to have to put something in there to like encourage them to do that somewhere because, I mean, if you're just going to do that, why would you not just be a wizard?
No, I know, but it is a cross class. If we're going to keep it as a cross class.
Well, yeah, but we're going to have to incentivize them in some way, like maybe their resource generator hangs on the punchiness or whatever.
I get that. If we build it too much built that way, my only concern is that we might come in as a way that like this is.
Well, I'm imagining the scholar as sort of like how the expert like has that jack of all trades thing. This is leaning more into that.
Yeah, so then maybe it shouldn't be a cross class with Magus. Then I don't know.
Well, no, because if you want to be jack of all trades, you've also got to be good at magic. So you get a little bit of magic, you get a lot of utility. So if you want to go breadth, I think this is the class you take. You know, like how you pick a bard in Baldur's Gate 3.
I agree with that. Except for like when you're in combat, this is a no proficiency, no weapon, no matter what, they have no weapon, no armor proficiency, and low HP.
Yeah.
So I'm a little concerned with making like a gameplay loop that might make them inclined to be getting in close combat when they have really low HP and no proficiencies. That's my concern. It's like a dangerous gameplay loop for them.
Yeah.
That won't have necessarily high returns compared to like combat classes. And it would be hard to come up with something that would, like if you were going to make them looped around melee, it'd be hard to come up with something, I feel like, that would have the returns to justify someone that squishy running in there and fighting when, if you came from the Mystic side, like you're just going to, I'm just going to sit back and cantrip because like I've only got a few HP.
Yeah. Well, I imagine it's something along the lines of like Fight Dirty, wherein they get an offensive and defensive thing in there at once, and then they get a magical version of an offensive and defensive thing. So like this will be their physical option, and then they'll have a magical option as well that's also reasonably versatile. But I don't know what the magic one would be yet. But I do think the punchy, bar fighty scholar is a hilarious concept that is very evocative.
Yeah. No, I like it in media.
And because the other option we have to give them is the magic one, we can really twist that one to cover up any gaps that the punchy scholar will leave, what with the low hit points in melee fighting.
So then if we're doing that, because you can't make, I mean, unless you're doing like the Immortal, I think that's a character who's built around unarmed fighting.
Well, yeah, one of the archetypes probably will be. Well, because the Immortal in my head is all based around like the immortal hero concept from like Eastern literature.
Oh, yeah. Well, like
one of those is definitely I can fight by punching. But a lot of them are I'm really good with a sword or a spear as well.
Oh, sure. And we'll probably redesign him. In our first design note, we made one of his primary features is that his body is a weapon.
Yeah, that'll probably move to an archetype.
Oh, really? Yeah, I'd planned on keeping that as
I mean, maybe intensified in an archetype.
Yeah. Because I assume your body as a weapon will probably stay like a core feature of Immortal. But
Yeah.
my point in all this was that, like, best punchy class, probably Immortal.
Yes.
And should be, because it's probably your, like, martial artist. But if we're doing punchy on Scholar, then I'm thinking that it is not so much.
Well, it's I think it's the difference between, like, you know, MMA and bar fighting.
Yeah, so my point is I'm not thinking per se that it's like damagey as much as the idea of having like CC type stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
well, it's,
maybe
I imagine that the Scholar's ability probably has some manner of, like, I grab a bottle, break it, and then use that as a weapon after I punched him, as opposed to the Immortal's choke slam execution.
Yeah, I guess in my head with Scholar, I was thinking of,
like how Indy fights.
Very specifically, I was thinking of Robert Downey Jr.'s.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
Which is very like all CC.
Okay.
Like when he has the ring fight.
Discombobulate.
Yeah, like the whole
chance of recovery 6 months.
Yeah, the whole concept was like he made one hit and then another hit, and each one of these was somehow debilitating.
Yeah.
And the combination of all of these debilitating factors.
Okay. Yeah. The Sherlock Holmes kind of fighting thing.
Because that feels the most gamey.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's
much more gamey than, and I like Indiana Jones.
Oh, okay. So it's like a cumulative crowd control thing. The more times you've hit somebody.
Yeah, and so it's not necessarily that you do a lot of damage per hit.
It's that the longer you beat them up, the
You're
more
putting
likely
like
you are to win.
Scholar stacks on them.
Yeah.
Whatever we call a
that,
Scholar stack.
Like Scholar stack.
And once you get
X
I
number.
don't know what we're going to call, it won't be Scholar stack, but
yeah.
For lack of a better term, once you have X number of Scholar stacks on a person, they're disabled in some way or stunned or...
Yes.
And I think that would be the gameplay loop that you could do that would, you know, the Robert Downey Jr. thing is the most feels like a video game. Which is kind of like,
how do we replicate that mechanically?
Yeah, hitting the weak points, and you could do that in an actual video game.
Yes.
But for us, what that means is that it needs to be stacks. It needs to be you hit someone, they gain a stack. And once you've hit them enough times, then they have. Now, that is going to give an inherent advantage to the expert coming into this.
Yeah.
Because he gets 2 physical attacks. So he could do that twice a turn.
So his other thing will have to be an equivalent for the magic.
Well, magic has one advantage, and just the fact that you have a cantrip.
Yeah.
Coming in with, 2 cantrips.
Yeah.
Is
and maybe we'll put the magic stuff in the archetypes like we did with psychometry.
Oh, that each one of the archetypes has magic stuff
in it. Yeah, so we put the physical stuff in the Scholar part or the regular Scholar part, and then they each have their own kind of brand of magic that they do based on their archetype.
Well, and of course, I think they will still get a spell.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of options.
Yes.
In and of itself of magic-y stuff that they'll
all
all have.
Which they can learn more.
Yeah. Do we want to give them something else special related to scrolls? Be it it's easier for you to learn spells from scrolls, or you can make scrolls better, or something.
I think learning scroll. I think they are the best at learning different spells. I think it's easier for them to learn spells than any other class.
Yeah. How do we translate that? I guess we don't know what the cost of learning a scroll is our issue. So I'll just put
easy learn spell from scroll.
Yeah, best at learning from scrolls. Learning spells from scrolls.
And we'll
once we figure out the
rules,
rules,
we know how scrolls work.
Yeah.
Stupid magic item interacting classes.
Yep. Okay, so maybe the punchy thing will be called debilitate.
I'm trying to, because if we want to like do that evocative Sherlock Holmes thing, I'm trying to think of a name that really sells that concept, like analysis or something.
And fight smart, not hard.
Fight smart, yeah.
It's ironic,
Yeah.
given the way you would say it, but also it's like, work smart, not hard.
Yeah. I like fight smart.
Just call it fight smart.
Yep.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's actually a great name for it.
As opposed to what happens when the paladin fucks up a smite, which is a smite fart.
Yeah. Except for I don't think you can fuck up smites in our game. You could be an asshole and smite the wrong person.
Fart. I mean, I guess you could use an improvised weapon. Smite fart.
Mm-hmm. You try to smite by hitting someone with a salami, and and they're just like, no, I won't smite someone via salami.
Not happening. Yeah,
the magic is unwilling.
The magic is willing, but the sword is spongy and bruised. Oh, fight smart.
Yeah.
That's good for a scholar.
Okay, so do we actually want them to do any additional damage with their punches beyond just the normal one? Do you want to just get you get a bonus to punch damage equal to your tier?
Yeah.
Not like a lot of extra, but tier 2 you do 2 and then 3.
Yeah.
Or actually at tier 2 you do 3 damage. So basically you'd have a 3 natural weapon.
Yeah.
And then you get a 4 and then you'd get a 5.
What does the brawler feat do? It does something like that, doesn't it? Or the talent for punching?
It just gives you a 3 natural weapon.
Okay, so that would give you a 5. Maybe we save that for the immortal, for a living weapon. You add your tier to all unarmed attacks.
We could do that. I had thought theirs would be even better, but I wasn't sure.
Oh, well,
I was thought theirs would probably be close to matching a weapon.
Yeah. Well, I mean, 5 off the top if they had that.
But that'd be at tier 4.
No. They'd have, if they took the brawler feat or talent, they'd have a 3 and they'd add their tier to that. So that'd be a 5 natural weapon.
Oh, I wouldn't have thought of them being combined because of how natural weapons work.
Well, this would be you add your tier to your natural weapon damage, and your natural weapon damage would be 3.
I had not considered it being interacting that way. I assumed they were exclusive in that a natural weapon 3 does 3 damage.
Well, yeah, but if a
natural weapon, in my head, a natural weapon isn't an unarmed attack because it's a natural weapon. So you have a natural weapon attack and then you have an unarmed attack.
Oh, I thought unarmed attacks were natural weapons.
I mean, maybe they are. Maybe they are. I had always thought of them as just unarmed attacks.
Okay. I kind of like them being natural weapons. That might be easier too.
So what that would mean, that's weird. So in our character design, though, that would, in the way we've designed it so far, that would not mean that you combined them. They would be technically still separate natural weapons because you'd be getting, despite the fact that it's quote unquote the same body part.
Yeah.
You would be getting a natural weapon from the source of the class. You would be getting a natural weapon from the Tavern Brawler feat, which would mean
no, because I think the way it works is you have your unarmed attacks and everybody has a 1 natural weapon, whether you're biting somebody or punching them or kicking them or whatever. You just have a 1 damage natural weapon being a human. And then the brawler, Tavern Brawler, whatever talent we have, makes that a 3 instead of a 1.
Okay. Yeah, I guess, we could write it in a way that it would work that way.
Yeah.
I had never imagined it working that way because the way our rule with natural weapons work is that you can make an attack with when you make an attack, you make an attack with every natural weapon you have.
Okay.
Which would mean that if your fists are a natural weapon and you make attacking with a natural weapon, then you always make 1 additional attack with your fists for 1 damage.
Okay.
And I hadn't really imagined it working that way.
Okay, so yeah, maybe it is different then.
Because like the tentacle natural weapons that sorcerer gets I hadn't imagined them like comboing with your fists, and then you also make a 1 damage fist attack.
Yeah, you may be right. Maybe I have to change that. I don't know. I do still think that extra adding your tier to your unarmed attacks goes better on Immortal.
Okay, we'll figure that out. Well, I think that's what it'll be. We got to sort out what is a natural weapon. And
I think this would be more a thing you could spend resource on.
Okay, so you spend resource.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Well, then let's talk. How do we generate resource?
Okay.
We can come back to this, but let's think about, because if this is going to be how you spend resource, or one of the ways, obviously you have spells which you can spend resource on. This would mean that you have. This is kind of fundamentally, it is a utility. The Fight Smart would be utility ways to spend your stuff. They're some kind of debilitating or something.
Yeah.
And they could be used on someone who is, I'm playing the cantrip game. I want to use my tier 2 spell, and I want to use my cantrips. I want to keep a distance.
Yeah.
If I'm generating resource, that's cool. I can spend it on my spells. If someone comes after me, I can spend resource on my Fight Smart abilities, and I can like either disable them, or I'm able to disengage from someone who's trying to get on me with these abilities. But if you're coming from expert, you might be like, well, no, I want to play offensive with the fists and use. So you could get use out of it in more than one play style, maybe.
Yeah.
Because it's always going to be tough to overcome the I shoot 2 cantrips around.
Yeah. Maybe like maximize damage
on Fight Smart.
Yeah.
So just no matter what you're using, or just on your fists? Because we'd have to give a damage roll to the fists.
Yeah.
They don't naturally get a damage roll.
Oh, yeah.
I don't remember what damage improvised weapons do.
Maybe that'd be cool. Maybe
because simple weapons just roll a d6.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know that we ever wrote down what improvised weapons do. Let's see. I know we had a talent related to this. Because the Tavern Brawler had some. I think it was either your fists or a natural or improvised weapon. I think there's a possibility that it got cut with all. Not
I think it
maybe
did
intentionally, but it got cut with when we cut a whole bunch of beats out.
Those talents got renamed and moved.
We changed it to martial artist.
Oh, we did.
Your unarmed attacks are treated as natural weapon 3.
Ah, there we go. Okay, so that's what it was. That's how you get them to treat it as a natural weapon.
Because in my head, this became a natural weapon. Unarmed attacks were unarmed attacks on their own.
Yeah.
And this just made it a natural weapon. But we never really, I guess, gave rules to improvised weapons yet.
Okay. Yeah, maybe they get an improvised weapon thing.
Oh, scholars?
Yeah.
I'm picturing some guy just always carrying random shit. Because I'm assuming like improvised weapons don't last.
Yeah.
Like they break.
Yeah, they can last till the end of combat.
But I'm picturing, they could. Yeah, they could last till the end. I was picturing them like you hitting people with them and they break. And so you
like when your strength scores too high in Morrowind.
Yeah, I was picturing like improvised weapons like breaking on one hit. Maybe they do a lot of damage, but like you break it on it, like shattering a glass bottle. Like this thing does like
that could be a tag for improvised weapon is fragile. This weapon only lasts for 1 round instead of one or until the end of combat.
Yeah, but it deals like
way
2
more
extra damage per hit. Like I'm just picturing this dude carrying a bunch of bottles.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, my weapon attacks like 1d6 plus 3.
Yeah.
But, I just run out of them really fast.
So I got like 1 at a time, man.
But I can keep up with the fighter in damage.
Yeah, it's expensive.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. But yeah, some kind of improvised item thing. I like that. That's like, real Indiana Jones, Sherlock Holmes kind of.
Well, again, though, I'm thinking if we're spending resource on it, which it may not be, but I feel like we should be. If we're spending resource on it, it spends resource to
Control a fight.
Well, yeah, control the fight, not just do damage.
Yes.
So it's not really about damage.
Well, I was thinking more for the resource generation for improvised weapons.
Oh, okay. So we want to tie resource generation to also melee fighting?
I mean, not necessarily. Like, you could throw an improvised weapon or...
Okay. Yeah. Okay, we named their resource Brilliance.
Okay, so that fits good with Fight Smart.
It's named Brilliance and a scholar. What would a scholar do? I mean, we gave Size Up.
Yeah.
Because
Like,
my early thought was Size Up was
Yeah.
like that'd be a good ability for because that's like the
Did we give Eureka to Artificer or somebody else?
I think I don't know. Inspiration is the Artificers, I think.
Okay.
Inspiration's their. We haven't
Resource.
written anything for them.
Yeah,
but
okay, cool.
Inspiration was the name of their resource.
Yeah, maybe like Eureka moment, something like that.
But what would they do?
Yeah, that's like what is it mechanically representing a great discovery or realization.
Yeah. Realization, which is why, like I said, the Size Up ability that the fighter has, I like the fighter having that.
Yeah.
But something like that would be also good for the scholar.
What if we add like just a little bit of Eldritch to it?
In what way?
Some like things man was not meant to know, like we talked about for the meta mind. We like add just like a little bit, like not in a gamey meta way, but like in a we are on a small island of ignorance, and it was not meant that we should wander far.
So what would mechanically what would that be?
Like a resource generator where like peering behind the curtain or whatever. Like taking some mental strain to get resource.
What would it be generated like automatically?
I'm not
like
sure.
The Immortals getting per turn. I think we gave them per turn natural generation.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know. Maybe it's not the Immortal that gets that. Maybe someone.
Yeah. Well, I like that one because they have like an internal font of power that just juices them up.
Okay. Yeah, Scholar's a tough class.
Yeah.
Because you have like there's good media representation for the archetype we're going for, but there's not a whole lot of game implementation
of the
this
archetype we're looking for. Yeah. So what else does Sherlock Holmes do other than solve crime and be smart at fighting? Like a contested tier check kind of thing that he can just lock some guy down?
A contested check for resource generation.
Well, not necessarily for like resource generation,
okay.
Just like how Fight Smart works.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
I know I'm jumping around.
Yeah. But to say, yeah. It wouldn't be how I'd necessarily want that, but that's interesting. For Fight Smart, that could be something.
Yeah.
Like it's like a unique type of grapple.
Yeah, it's as long as they don't beat you, like however many resource you spend on it, that's how many successes they need to get away from you. Yeah, how do you like mechanically represent that? Like, I'm a really smart fighter. Like, it's not that I'm physically more powerful than you. I'm just so much better at fighting that you can't touch me. I don't know. What are some good video games that do stuff like that?
I don't know that on brand or on theme that necessarily exists as much as like games that make you fight smart are like Souls games.
Yeah. Okay.
And so, from what I think that the fight smart would probably be is spend resource, knock prone, spend resource, potentially like stun.
Okay.
Spend resource.
Oh, like a list of conditions that you can apply?
That's what I was thinking.
Okay.
Yeah, instead of that's
what
exactly like the Sherlock Holmes fight.
Yeah. Okay.
That was what I was originally thinking was list of conditions that you can apply.
And there's a different cost for each of them.
Yeah, and there's a different cost to apply. Or because this, I mean, I guess originally I was thinking of it as a stacking, like you'd hit them X number of times and they get it, but I don't.
I think I like this better. It's less bookkeepy.
Yeah. It is, and you can't generate resource that way because then it's just weird.
Yeah.
And you want them to be able to naturally generate resource and spend that resource on spell.
Mm-hmm.
And you want that to make sense. Not just it makes sense one way.
Right. Yeah.
So we want to give them a way that generates resource, I think, that isn't tied to melee attacking for the generation.
Yes.
But we have a way that they can spend it in melee attacking that gives them statuses, or you could spend some resource to avoid opportunity attacks so that you don't have to spend an action or a bonus action.
Yeah.
You could just spend some resource when you take the move action. Like, so you get to still do all the stuff in the round that you would want to do. You don't have to take a disengage.
Yeah.
And could just maybe avoid an opportunity attack via resource.
Okay. Well, I don't know. That'll be good. That may be added on there, but that's also not going to be very good because only elites get AOOs.
Oh, that's true. Well, you could, as a reaction, maybe spend resource to, reduce the damage of an attack or something like that.
Okay.
They might have some defensive options as well.
Yeah.
I think they have to have some defensive
Well,
options.
I like their defensive options being more magical.
Okay. I was picturing like blocking a punch kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, we could make magical defensive options
But I like that spend.
But the thing is, I think if they're going to have a defensive option, it should be a part of Fight Smart. If they're going to have something they can spend resource on, that's or even if it's magical, but if they're going to have an option.
Depending on what conditions we give them to apply.
Yeah, no, a lot of it is going to protect them just because of how they're CCing their opponent. Yeah. But I think that if we're going to give them a defensive spend, it should be in Fight Smart as well.
Well, what if, do we have anybody, we could give them a defensive gain, like Bob and Weave or something? This town ain't big enough for the both of us.
just
good at running away from a fight. That's more Discworld stuff.
Yeah, what would the mechanically though, like you said, if only elites have AOOs, then running away from a fight is normally not too bad anyway.
Yeah. Well, I just meant you're like running all over the battlefield, keeping people like outrunning them so they can't get up to you.
Oh, so you could like
anytime somebody tries to get close to you, you run away.
As a reaction, you can run away.
Yeah.
That could be Fight Smart. They could, as a reaction. Oh, okay. So instead of maybe like physically defensive,
you just move further away.
You can, as a reaction, spend resource and move 15 feet or something.
Yeah.
I can leave as a reaction.
I like that. I mean, that's pretty defensive.
Yeah. As a reaction to someone entering or attempting to enter your space.
Yeah.
And I'll put this movement avoids AOOs as well. So even if it is an elite.
Yeah, this movement avoids AOOs.
Yeah.
Or does not trigger AOOs.
Yeah, it does not trigger.
Because that's kind of what the wizard one has.
Someone's got to teleport.
Yeah, teleport away.
Well, that's to getting hit, I think.
Yeah,
and I think you still take the damage.
I think so.
And this is going to, if someone's a melee attacker, you might get away without taking any damage. If someone's shooting you with a spell, though, this doesn't really prevent that.
Yeah, it's a different scenario.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like that just I run away from things to keep myself alive.
Should it be as a reaction to an enemy entering your reach?
When a creature becomes adjacent to you.
What about creatures? I guess we're not really planning on putting reach weapons.
No.
Okay. So, as a theme, we could make all of these Fight Smart.
Yeah.
Like not they're like practically smart.
Yes.
Not necessarily like some kind of genius.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, something bad's happening, I leave.
Yes, that common sense is their superpower.
Common sense is their superpower.
I like that. Yeah. How come you never get hit in combat? Because I fucking run away. I move away from the
when
thing
the
that's
guy
sharp.
with the big sword
thing
comes after me,
I leave. I don't know why you guys don't do that. Yeah, this is it. This is what's up.
So build theme is common sense.
And yes,
That is how he fights smart.
The base scholar is common sense. The other scholars are all the weird bullshit academics do. The archetypes. Yeah, I like it.
Okay. So that'll be the first ability. So reaction is movement. That's going to be a movement one. How about if we're going to just give them a variety of things, maybe they're not all fisticuffs.
Yeah.
These are just like common sense maneuvers.
Yeah, you throw a stick between their legs.
So the next one I thought of in that vein, it is a punchy, but it is a common sense maneuver, is low blow.
Yeah.
Like
right in the ghoulies.
Yeah. Like, I'm fighting to win.
Yeah, what is this? There's no such thing as a fair fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, no such thing as a fair fight. And they're all just like different conditions you can apply to somebody.
Yeah. Do you want to change it from fight smart to no such thing
as a fair fight? I can't wait to get that expert scholar.
Okay, is there a way to truncate that? It feels like a long name for a feature.
7 words.
We generally do 1, 2, or 3.
Who fights fair?
There we go. It was like 3 generally is our kind of cap.
Who fights fair? There we go.
Maybe instead of low blow, it's sucker punch.
Oh, well, I was just thinking like that they're all in there of like,
Oh, well, yeah, but the move 15 feet would also be in there.
Oh, would it?
Yeah, because this is all going to be, I would assume.
Okay.
We're making a list of features.
These all cost 2 points. This is what you can do.
Yeah, like they're all a part of the. I spend stuff on my fighting, and it's all part of a set of features.
Yeah, this is So low blow. What did you say?
I'd said low blow. We could have low blow and sucker punch, and they're two different things.
Yeah, they could do different things.
Yeah.
Set movement to 0 for 1 round.
Yeah. What do you think we should call the reaction moving one?
I mean, this town ain't big enough for the both of us. Pretty good. Personal space.
For whatever reason, since it's called Scholar, I just immediately thought of like just someone who doesn't like to be touched.
Yeah. Don't touch me, bro. Socially distanced.
That's actually funny. Social distance.
Social distancing. I like that.
Okay. Yep. Social distancing as a reaction to an enemy becoming adjacent to you. You may spend 1 brilliance to move 15 feet.
Incredible.
That's pretty good.
They're evocative. Anybody who lived through 2020 knows how that works.
And then we got low blow, sucker punch.
Yeah.
And we'll come up with a couple others. So both of those can do, damage, and it'll be a part of the. I don't know that will we require these to be punchy, or or can you do it while wielding a weapon?
I think you can probably do it while wielding a weapon, but they aren't going to have weapon proficiency. So
yeah, but you're still better off to wield a simple weapon.
Yeah,
because it does 1d6 damage. So unless
I think the two fist, the Profister will probably be the specifically punchy one.
The Profister, I love it. So he might do better damage.
Yeah, he'll probably be the specifically punchy one.
Okay.
But yeah, I think he can probably do these with a melee attack.
Yeah, any melee attack. Okay, cool. Speaking of the Profister, it does bring back up this natural weapon question.
Yeah.
If you say that martial artist
Yeah.
gives you a natural weapon. And I know we phrased it a certain way. That doesn't matter. We can always
we can always
it.
change that. We got to decide.
You take the talent,
Mm-hmm.
you get natural weapon 3.
Yeah.
You get a natural weapon, and it is a body part.
Yeah.
If you get another natural weapon that isn't giving you a cosmetic change.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, sorcerer gets tentacles.
Oh, yes.
You've achieved a cosmetic change that is giving you another natural weapon.
Yeah.
But let's say we gave Profister also gets natural weapon 3. And then you take the martial artist talent.
Yeah.
Does that mean that one of them doesn't give you anything, or that when you use your action to make an attack, you just deal 3 damage twice?
Pros and cons to both. Deal 3 damage twice is easier for...
It's easier to
write rules around, but maybe harder to balance on damage, like combat time to kill type stuff.
Yeah, well, it does mean that what would be the other option?
Where you only get 1, and then we have to balance around, well, you can't take this feat if we give this anywhere in the class rule thing.
The third option, there is a third option too, and I think the third option's also bad.
Yeah.
I think the worst option is that you get nothing.
Yeah.
That I have an issue with.
Yeah.
But it might be that we just have to, his thing is not a natural weapon, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's something different how it works. But the worst one would be that if natural weapons affect the same body part, they just combine.
Yeah.
Because then you'd have natural weapon 6. And that's much worse.
Yeah, no, it would be you to get 2 natural weapon 3s.
Yeah.
At best. Which, I don't know, may not be terrible.
I don't know that is a problem. I mean, if you compare, on average, 2-3 natural weapons still on average does less damage than
getting hit with
1d6 plus 3.
Yeah.
1d6 with 3 does half a point more damage on average.
Yes. Which is pretty common for a fighter to have.
Yeah.
Or really anybody not wielding a simple weapon.
Yeah, which is, fighter's the only person who gets weapon proficiency.
Yeah. Weird.
But if you have weapon proficiency and you're carrying, you're going to get, carrying a weapon is 1d6 plus 1 because you're proficient. And then you're probably going to have it sharp.
Yep.
So that's plus another 1. And then it's either 2-handed.
Yeah.
Which means it's plus 2 more.
Yeah. Or it's heavy, which means it ignores physical resistance.
Or you're carrying, or it's heavy and you're carrying a weapon in the offhand. Which, if you carry a weapon in the offhand, which makes it 1d6 plus 3 and it ignores resistance. So it doesn't make you immediately better.
No, I don't hate that. Just letting them stack in the least optimal way.
Plus, you've taken a talent to get it.
Yeah.
You've paid beyond the natural occurrence of your class.
Yeah.
Which the fighter gets all of that naturally occurring in their class.
Anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
As a matter of course. No, I tentatively like the you get 2-3 natural weapons.
Any source that gives you a natural weapon, that adds to your natural weapon count. It doesn't matter if they both, quote unquote, affect your fists.
Yes. Yeah, no, I like that. There may be some finagling we have to do later to make sure we don't fuck anything up too bad, but I like that for now.
Okay. That's the closest thing to fit with the way that you told me you wanted natural weapons to work. And I think this would be the fairest way to rule.
Yeah, I think you're right.
The gaining of these.
I do think it's very cool. I just need to make sure we don't break anything too bad.
Yeah. Well, I think there's going to be very few natural weapons that you can choose.
Yep.
You can take this feat. The sorcerer is going to get it.
Yep.
In that weird
the tentacle monster thing.
This guy could get it.
The immortal can get it.
The immortal's going to get something. We don't know exactly what it's going to look like.
Yeah.
Probably should also be a natural weapon because it's able to be combined. But I don't know exactly what that looks like.
Yeah.
Might just be natural weapon equal to your tier.
Sure.
Well, we wouldn't want him to start with 2 though.
Yeah, that's
tier plus 1 or
it's maybe you add add your tier to any natural weapon attack you make, and then one of the archetypes gives you a natural weapon 3. So, like, if you are specifically the fist guy, you are particularly good at that. If you are the sword guy, you add your tier to any sword attacks. Or, I don't know, maybe they get a different thing. I'm not sure. Maybe they're just kind of, they get natural weapon 3s.
Yeah, we don't have right now, the themes we had were Drunken Master, Ascetic, and Key Blast guy.
Okay.
So I don't know what that'll exactly look like.
Ascetic is probably the I'm a punchy dude one then.
Drunken Master would be too, though.
Drunken Master may be the punchy one.
Well,
I don't know. They both may be
Ascetic
punchy.
might get better. Ascetic might have better all the time buffs.
Yeah.
And Drunken Master just might get great buffs while he's drunk.
Well, one of the things the Drunken Master gets is a fire burp. 100%.
Cone of fire.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I know we could keep going, but we're
an hour 20.
Well beyond time. So
catch y'all on the flip side.